Guys, this week for 4 to 4, we have on Mike Marshman, who played at St. Francis University, has been playing overseas for multiple years now. He's going into his sixth or seventh year. He's climbed the ladder all the way from his start out in Finland up to the very top league in France. He's currently playing with Cambrai, France, I believe is how you say it. I'm not sure. But you can listen in on him, hear about how he got the crazy vertical jump, how he made all the climb through pros that he did, and also a lot of the meditation stuff that he's been getting into during his time overseas, and some of his little tricks to help players who are overseas. You can also check out down below, which Mike will talk about in this episode. You can check out his blog, which is written. It's posted on Dustin Watton's website. It's really good. This personal site down below will have his current blog and all the ones that he's going to do in the future, just about being an athlete overall. So I hope you guys enjoy. Hey, what's up, Mike? How's it going?
Good, man. Glad to be here.
Yeah, man. We appreciate you coming on for sure. So as we talked a little bit before, we know you're out in France right now and know a little bit about that, but we'll let you kind of explain it. So why don't you start us off with how you got started? And just, as we said, like a little elevator pitch about your career and hit all the key points that you think were important.
Yeah, from upstate New York to France. So I started my volleyball, career in ninth grade. My eighth grade basketball coach was the varsity coach for the high school, and he basically told me, hey, you might like volleyball, it's going to keep you in shape for basketball, why don't you give it a try? So I said, okay, why not? Seems fun. Like, if I can increase my vertical for basketball, why not? So that's how I started playing volleyball. I was completely trash. I got
As we all were.
We were probably, yeah, it's so hard thinking back on it. I couldn't even set a ball. Like, I couldn't even physically set the volleyball. But one day it all clicked and I got just instantly hooked. And I started to join a club. It was a very local, small club called CD Select, stands for Capital District Select. It's like my hometown. It's called the Capital District, Albany, New York. And I played one season for them, came back and played varsity volleyball, then played for a club called Lakeside Volleyball Club based out of Burn Hills, New York. Another very, very small club compared to like Pace Bootlegger or Eden Volleyball Club in New York. But through them, I started getting, into the tournament scene and seeing the level, and started doing USA Volleyball High Performance and stuff like that. And just started taking opportunities as they came. And next thing you know, someone said, you could play in college. And I said, that sounds pretty cool. So I started sending recruitment questionnaires out and letters to pretty much every school I had interest in. And it took a long time. I wasn't a highly recruited player, but and I almost actually played for Springfield College or Juniata College. It was kind of like coming down to between those two. I almost played Division III, and at that time, those were two very good programs and very high-level players were there. But Mike Rumbaugh at St. Francis University finally answered my questionnaire after a month and a half and said, hey, I'd like to come see you play. When's your next game? And I said, well, it was Thursday. He sent this email, and we played on a Saturday. And he made the trip like overnight, like got a hotel and saw me play that Saturday in Buffalo, New York, which was pretty sick. And from then on, we talked really quickly, and it was a decision made very fast that I signed to play at St. Francis. So since then, I played 4 years at St. Francis, and then got the opportunity to come to Europe, played in Finland one season, and then I've been in France ever since, climbing the ladder, and finally in League A here for 2 seasons.
The beast. It's been a journey. Yeah,
it's been a grind.
I wanted to ask you when you started to jump so damn high. Has that always been something for you? Because so for those that don't know Mike Marshman, go follow him on Instagram. Watch this guy. He's got bunnies. He's destroying the myth that white men can't jump. All those things. All right, this guy can fly. All right. I remember just the first time I watched you playing at Penn State. And I was like, damn, like this guy. I mean, I've played against this guy for like 3 years or something like that, and he's gonna be hard to block. But
I said the same thing about you, I'm pretty sure. You and Seth.
Yeah, well,
But when I first started to jump,
looking.
yeah, I was like I played against this tight end for 3 years.
Yeah, what?
But started to jump. I don't know. I remember even my junior year of high school, I didn't jump very high. I don't know. I guess I just started to just jump more and more and more, play volleyball as much as possible, and then over time, I just got the coordination. And then I think the summer between my freshman year of college and my sophomore year, I just really started to work on jump technique and hit the weight room. And somehow my genetics helped me out there in some way. Who knows? I really don't know. I just started jumping a lot higher. And it just started going. And I've been lucky to keep that height for some time now and increase it little by little. So yeah, I guess in that sort of time between freshman and sophomore year, kind of
So what were you
significantly increased.
touching like senior year of high school, and then like what are you touching maybe senior year of college and now?
I touched like only 11, maybe 11.1 coming out of high school. Then I remember freshman year, we did a jump test. It was like 11.4. And then senior year, I touched 11.10. And I've unofficially touched 12. But yeah, in the USA gym, I remember I was there for a 2-week sort of camp and it was only 11.9. So I haven't really officially touched 12 feet yet, but in my own sort of like jump testing, I've gotten that high. Now I really don't know. I think it's around 11.10 to 12, but depends on how much adrenaline's in my system.
It really does. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, dude. That's kind of how it went for me. I wasn't jumping that high. A little bit different. You jump higher than me now, but I was jumping a little higher towards the end of high school. When I first started playing volleyball, I was touching like 10, and I wasn't that tall. And then by the end of my first year, my vertical went up like 10 inches. I was like, what the heck? Jumping a lot, turns out, helps you jump more.
Yeah, that's kind of what I found out.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's very simple. How do you jump higher? Just jump.
Keep jumping. It's often, it's high, do all the things. That's cool though. Yeah, you got a question ready to fire, Brandon?
Yeah, I do. I was gonna see if there was more jump talk to go, because I agree, like jumping more and all that. I feel like everybody's had that growth, but there's certain, like everybody obviously who plays volleyball gets that growth, just like you guys said. Naturally, you go from like, there's no other sport where you jump that much that consistently. Like you're jumping, I mean, I can't even guess, like 15 to 20 times in a good rally. And that's just for 1 point. It's like, you're going to obviously see increase. But I do agree that like some people are just, a little, obviously a lot of like lifting and that stuff probably helped you, as you said, but like there's some just genetic dudes. Like we had Will Kraft on a little bit ago, and he's another one of those guys that just like springs. And it's like, of course you guys work hard, you lift weights and all that, but like there's plenty of other guys that do that same stuff and don't get the same fortune, let's say, in the vertical end. But yeah, so I agree with what you guys are saying. That's definitely interesting, those big jumps.
I shouldn't undersell like the whole jumping thing too, because I did work my ass off for many years. And that's what some people like, I think and hope that you can just spend one summer working out and you're going to put 6 inches on your vertical. It's like, no, like, I hate to tell you this, but you need to invest like 6 years of like plyometric. Like I had a whole program I followed. One of my buddies showed me something called the Jump Bible, and it explained kind of like how to increase your vertical by decreasing the amount of time you spend on the ground. So like in your last 2 steps on the step close, trying to make that as fast as possible and like have that acceleration be as fast as possible so that you're generating more force to bring yourself up. And I would literally spend, I think, 15 minutes before a workout just practicing my step close and making it faster and faster. And then going along with that, force like working on a lot of Olympic lifting and a lot of like box plyo work mixed in with like I had a whole program I followed religiously every summer. And even while we were in college, I would, we had our weight like program, but then I would do the extra stuff on like a Sunday or in the middle of the week when I could. It was So I shouldn't undersell like, yeah, it's just genetics. I think, yeah, that is a thing. Like you said, I know Will too. He's very springy, you know, and I feel like I had that little bit of luck in my genetics as well. But you definitely, you need, if your goal is to increase your vertical, you have to kind of be obsessive about it, and you got to really put in the work for years to get there.
Yeah, and I in no way meant to take away and say that wasn't.
Yeah.
100% not. But like,
Yeah,
also, yeah, I know, right?
I just didn't want to undersell it. Like, I just jumped a little bit, and then I ended up touching 12 feet.
Just jump the rope once a week.
There's never a magic pill. It's definitely consistent work over a long period of time. That's the answer always.
And I mean, like we said, genetics obviously like plays a little bit of a factor, but I think like the genetics thing is like, that's just whether you're going to be like a decent volleyball player or not comes from genetics. Obviously, if you're going to like, because I had a kid in high school that I played with, like he wasn't super serious about it. He played club with me, but like he played a couple of years in high school, a couple of years in club, never wanted to pursue past that, like would lift scarcely, thrown around here and there, but he was just naturally could jump. Like he wasn't skying and touching 12 foot, but he was just one of those guys that had a natural jumping ability that at the time I didn't have. And I mean, now like I touch probably like 1.5 foot higher than him. So like he was just one of those guys at a young age. But yeah, I think that obviously you have to do all that weight and that work. Like by the time you get into your freshman year of college, at least is when you should be starting. Like that's probably, I think, one of the latest times, but never too late to start, I guess. But one thing I did want to hit on is Rummy, dude. He is an interesting lad, man. I hear so many great stories about Rummy, and they come from all different types. And when we went to play St. Francis in my junior year, I was coming off like a EIVA award of the week or something, one of those like attacker of the week, or I don't know, I can't remember. And Rummy like came up to me at our serve and pass at the very beginning, and he was like, "Oh, like Greenway, right?" I didn't even know he knew my name. I was like, "All right." I was like, "Yeah, what's up, man?" Like, and I started talking to him. He talked to me for 55 minutes of our hour serve and pass. And I couldn't get out. And then our athletic director finally came over and was like, "Brandon, you're not even warm. Like, we're almost done. Like, you need to go." I was like, "Sorry." And I like took off, and then she took the heat from Rummy. But I want to know what's some good Rummy stories that you got? Because I'm sure that there's got to be some. We have a bunch of good Pav ones from Penn State with all these Penn State guys, but not a lot of people know or hear about Rummy, I feel like, as much.
Man, I don't know if I really have any good Rummy stories.
If you need a minute to think, we can move to a different topic.
I mean, he's told me some outrageous stories from like back in his day, I remember, but my time with Rummy, I mean, I said like that's impressive that you held up to only 55 minutes, because normally a conversation with Rummy is like, yeah, you're investing 2 hours of your day for that. I don't know. I don't remember so much about college. I remember the matches, I remember the stuff, but
heavy drinker, I see.
Yeah, it was complete blur, you know. The Mount of Loretto really just there's not much else to do. I have, Rummy really messed up one time on a trip, and it was in class. It was a classic St. Francis fashion where like everything just went completely to shit during our like travel and everything. So Rummy can be a little bit forgetful sometimes. We took a trip to Long Beach, or we did the ASIC tournament or something, and it was my junior year, and we went out to California, and my junior year was one of our worst seasons of all time, and we absolutely got smacked all like 4 matches there, and we played Long Beach the last match. So we were done, and we finally like lost that last match. We were like, let's just get out of here, like, and let's just like enjoy this night, and then like we'll go like back to St. Francis and chill out for a little bit. And I remember like we actually like spent the day in Santa Barbara after like the full day, just like seeing the town and like relaxing, seeing the ocean, the beach, whatever. We show up to the airport that night, and we're apparently 25 hours late for our flight. We like completely messed up like the times and everything.
Yeah.
So not only losing and getting absolutely trashed and like demolished all weekend from like the matches and losing every match, we were now 25 hours late for our flight and had to figure out how to get to Loretto, Pennsylvania, of all places, from California.
Dang, was it
So
like a
we were
late
just
night
sitting in
flight where it was like midnight or something?
it was like 11:30 at night. We were sitting in LAX, like, what do we do? You know? So that was a big goof by Rom. But we ended up getting there. It was just, it's like, what else could possibly go wrong this trip? And yeah, just, I don't know. I have a lot of good memories with Rummy too. Like he was, you know, he was very helpful with, you know, with me and like trying to like make me happy and also make me grow as a player. I think a lot of people close to me know, and I think a lot of people know by now, but I tried to transfer from St. Francis like 3 times. So when we finally decided, okay, I'm going to stick around, I'm going to stay for the long haul, and we're going to do something with this program, our relationship kind of got like pretty close, and we started just, you know, working together, and he started to be, you know, a good coach and a good friend to me during that time. So yeah, I have a lot of good memories with Rum too, but that trip was one of the most outrageous trips we've had, I think, during those 4 years.
That'll do it, man. That's tough. Yeah, I've seen people miss flights when it's like midnight and you'll think it's like the next day, but it's really like of that night, you know.
That was it for sure.
Yeah, so hey,
Classic mistake.
I'm sure all D1 coaches are forgetting some stuff here and there with the amount of things they have to do.
I have nothing but respect for every coach ever, because I don't like, people think that's like the default, like after you're done playing, but I really don't know in my case. Like it's totally different, and it's a lot of work. Yeah, so I have nothing but respect for coaches.
Yeah, for sure. We had one, we were playing like North Greenville or something my freshman year, and our coach books us to leave like 2 hours or like an hour and a half before the match because we were 5 minutes away from the arena. And we load into the bus, and a couple of guys are like 5 minutes late. So now we're like leaving a little tighter, but it's like, oh, it's still 5 minutes. And we get in the bus, and it was an hour drive. So we got to the arena with 40 minutes to warm up for our whole team, like to get into the building, get into the locker room, change, get upstairs, and start warming. When we got up there, we were into like our 5 minutes or whatever it was to do like team 6-on-6 kind of thing. So, but yeah, I agree. The load that coaches take is gnarly, and I'm sure everybody's got some stories for that.
Yeah, 100%. Another thing is we always had to stop at a Chili's because that's where Rumba liked to eat. Always Chili's and never any other restaurant.
Ours was Olive Garden. We went to Olive Garden.
That's not too bad though.
No, it's not.
But after, you know, as you like, as I'm sure coaches, the last thing they're really thinking about, maybe in Rummy's case, he was actually prioritizing Chili's, but some coaches just really don't care, you know, just like, oh, Olive Garden, perfect, we're gonna go there, you know, easy. But yeah, Chili's every time, unbelievable.
Yeah, we went from eating like fast food like first couple years I was at Penn State to like trying to actually organize like healthier meals and being a little bit smarter about what we were eating right before. But whatever, you're in college, you can eat anything.
Yeah.
We're all like
that's one thing I wish I did though. I wish I ate healthier in college. But like you said, it doesn't matter. Your body's like a machine at that point.
Yeah.
Just take so much abuse. It's incredible.
All the nutritionists are like cringing right now as we're like, eat whatever you want, it's fine. Yeah, that's right. Endorsed.
What about transition from college to pro? That's something we definitely talk about very openly on the show, and talk about experience as a pro, because I feel like a lot of people don't really get that insight. And even though there are a lot of guys over here, there's a lot of guys that don't make it over here, and they don't really know what it's really like, or the transition, or some of the clubs that you go to. So yeah, give us the insight on that from your perspective.
Yeah, 100%. Callaway, I just gotta say, I listened to the podcast with Blake, and man, your Romanian situation was rough, dude. That's
Again, I'm gonna go into like full detail and just totally throw my club right on the bus because they effed me so hard just for months. But yeah, it was tough,
That
man.
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about like reference points, and like I'm always trying to say like someone out there has it worse. And I thought my situation in Finland, like when I first got there, was pretty tough. But dude, that so far you take the cake on it. That's a very, very tough arrival to Romania.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my first season was in Razion Loimu, the same club for Blake and some of the other Americans in the past who've gone through there, like Dustin Watton and Dan McDonald. And I just named a couple. And so yeah, my first year transitioning was, I think like most guys will say, like it blindsides you a little bit. Like you think it's going to be like preseason in college, or you think it's going to be like volleyball without school, and it's a whole different feeling. You get I don't know if you end up putting more pressure on yourself, or you actually do get more pressure put on yourself because you're a foreign player. You're there for a reason. You're there to help the club increase its level. So when I got to Finland, I think I didn't realize that at first. So I was playing free and everything was good, and then all of a sudden I realized like there was a lot of like kind of like my teammates were counting on me to be like, something more, to be a more, helpful player on the team and to contribute more. And yeah, it wasn't the most smoothest transition. I definitely like, when you get there, you're like I said, when I mentioned on another podcast recently, like when I first got to Finland, I showed up completely jet lagged, like no sleep. I ate like I think a peanut butter sandwich for dinner, and I got in my bedroom and there was like no bed sheets, nothing. Like it was just a mattress, and I slept on that my first night in Finland. And it was like welcome to professional volleyball sort of deal. And
I made it
yeah,
to my
so
dreams.
yeah, living the dream. Everything's great. But there was other things that like I had to get used to. The travel in Finland was brutal. We took overnight trains, to just go play in the city up in the north. So it would be like a 9-hour train trip, and we'd leave Helsinki or something at 11, wake up in Rovaniemi in the Arctic Circle at like 9 in the morning, and the sun never came up. Like it would just be below the horizon the whole day. I always lived in the sunniest part of Finland, and we got about 3.5 hours of sun during the winter. So it's pretty brutal, pretty depressing. And you're in the gym during those 3 hours of the day too, so you basically don't see the sun. Yeah, and it's just like I think what also got me was like the culture shock too. Well, you don't like, you look in the grocery store and you don't recognize a single word. Like the word for chicken's like 13 14 letters long, and you're just like, I don't know where I am. So yeah, and I think my coach, I had 2 coaches that season. The first one left halfway through, but he said I recently spoke to him, and he said it the best. He's like, you were learning how to be a professional that season. And that's basically what you're doing that first year. You're trying to like figure it out. You're trying to see if this is really for you. We did a trip. We played CEV Cup, and we went to Budva, Montenegro, and we had a 24-hour like travel to get there. And we literally took planes, trains, and automobiles and boats to get there. It was absolutely absurd how we had to get to Budva. So after that trip, he was like, this is what's going to make you figure out, do I really want to do this? Am I really ready to be a professional? So it was that first season, that first year of transition is like, it's a really big kind of like, you're feeling it out. You're like, is this really for me? Can I handle this? And am I going to be, able to do this for years to come? So yeah, my transition to the pros was, not smooth. I think like many's, but it definitely got better. And I finished the season well, and I finished the season well enough to get signed to a team called Plessy Robinson in League B. And at that time, League B was in France was very, very good. We had Caen and Narbonne, who were both in the first league. Now they were both in the second league. So It was a very, very high level team. I was playing against, guys on national teams and international players every week. So it was very fortunate to have that sort of transition to go, okay, I grinded out my first year. I figured it out. And like, I got kind of like that next step to League B. So let's give it another try. And that season was also tough, but it's almost like there's never going to be a smooth season. Like you're always trying to like get better and like better yourself and be the best version of yourself. And like there's never going, I think that's why we love to do it. That's why like this is my 6th season and I'm still like, I still want more because the challenge and that alone and trying to better yourself is there. So now after almost six, being my 6th season, I've now figured out the professionalism part and, how to get through the grind of the week and everything. But I will say, like, in all honesty, my first year in transition to the pros was really, really difficult. And it didn't necessarily get easier for my 2nd and 3rd, just to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and I've spoken with a lot of people that have played pro, like, I think probably, I've only played 2 years out there, but I think if you're ever changing a country or probably first 3-4 years in general, it's like you just do not know what you're signing up for. You think you do, like especially after the 1st or 2nd season maybe, but then like you go to a new country or you think, okay, like I didn't ask for this stuff last time in my contract, and I need to make sure like this is covered this time, and then you just like totally forgot about this whole other thing, like a slew of things that you're like, I didn't see these variables coming, but all right, we're gonna go for it. So it is really, really hard. And no matter how much you try to think about it or plan ahead, there's just always these curveballs like that are gonna be thrown at you, and you just gotta handle it in stride as best you can. It's pretty intense.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things people don't think about, or maybe you have an idea about it, and then it blindsides you when reality hits. Like, for example, like the loneliness, the distance from your family. You have a girlfriend break up with you, and then you have another girlfriend break up with you. And then, there's like so many like different outside aspects, not just volleyball, that totally play a factor. And you're trying to figure out, okay, how do I sort of continue this career? How do I sort of handle all these sort of absurdities that happen in life, while also trying to handle the challenges of being a professional volleyball player? And you're here, like, the way I felt is like you're on your own too. Like, unless you have, like, I mean, the most important thing to me has been like my family back home. That's my support system. And if I'm having a bad week or things are starting to go not so well, like as far as the team or volleyball is going, I at least have them to confide in and to talk to, and to kind of keep my head screwed on straight. But when you're here and you're not playing well, or you're, the team's struggling, you're completely on your own, and you kind of have to really, dive deep into yourself to try and figure out, how am I going to get through this? And that's kind of been, I guess, in a fortunate way, like the best thing that's come out of this experience is over the years, I've been able to learn how to sort of get through these difficult moments and to kind of, just become a better version of myself through all of this, which it's not easy, because it's for sure not every time I'm like, oh, easy fix. Yeah, I can be, happier this practice, or I don't have to be so frustrated I miss 5 serves in a row. Like, it definitely is not a perfect practice, but you tend to learn little tricks along the way to help keep you more balanced, and it definitely gets easier in that regard the more you play and the longer you stay over.
And I like, speaking to that, how you're talking about kind of some of the ups and downs, and like how, obviously there's going to be low times and high times and things like that. But I feel like it's also a lot of times undersold, just in general, because you get used to it, or it's just the norm at this point. But it's like you are spending 8-9 months over here. Like, it's not a short period of time. It's a vast majority of your time for an entire year that, like you said, you're away from family, you're by yourself. You have your support system back home, with which technology today is pretty easy to get in contact with, but like, you don't have somebody to just turn to, or like come home to, and like vent or unleash like whatever the hell is going on. Or if you face an injury, you're on, like, you have the team doctors and stuff, but it's always nice when you're at home with a girlfriend or like have a parent to come over and bring you some food and make you feel better, watch a movie with you. Over here, you don't have that. Like and especially in Finland, you got the dark of the night and maybe like a small TV in your couch closet apartment that Callaway had in Romania. Like you can really find yourself in some shit situations. But I was actually listening to a different podcast today and I heard this like interesting quote kind of thing. But it was said that it was from the perspective of God, but take it however you want. Like if God threw everybody's shit into a pile, you would grab your shit back real quick. Like if you saw some of the other things, and it's basically like a look into if you saw what other people had, or like you were saying, like Finland sucked. You had those long travels, dark nights, but there could have been another guy going through the same travel, getting half the salary with like a coach that was an asshole too. It's like there's a lot of tough spots, but again, not to take away, because what volleyball players go through at the professional level is like the gap is huge between the highest level and each stage down. The gap's monstrous, and even the highest paid players, there's a monster gap from all other professional sports. So it's like we are kind of like drugged through the dirt a bit for sure.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think it's also good to use reference points, even not only like I stopped trying to compare myself to others, and I usually compared myself to guys who had more than me, guys who were playing in higher leagues, guys who maybe had the better situation. I say, I really want to be there. Like, I really want to like strive to be there. But it's, at one point you realize I'm not them, I'm me, and I need to follow my own path and I need to do my own thing. But what is good, you can kind of flip that, use a reference point, and like, where are you now compared to like where you were just working from? Like, I would try to think back to that 15-year-old kid that looked up on Google what tour volleyball is, and now I'm playing against them. It's ridiculous, like how far of a journey like we all come to do this stuff. And I think it's important to kind of reflect back on that, just to look back to see the view a little bit and kind of appreciate where you are in the moment, because it's easy to get wrapped up in the ups and downs, and especially when things are going south. It's easy to kind of like focus on that. I'm sure guys in like Perugia or Chinandonova, if they lose a match and the president of the club's in the locker room berating them, I'm sure they're stressed too, but we would literally kill someone to be in Perugia. So it's like, yeah, I think it's definitely a reference point. It's always good to kind of keep yourself in check to realize how far you've actually come and all the work that you've put in. There's no reason to dwell on these things too long.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's something I definitely struggle with still, for sure. Because like you said, it's great for you that you're able to like set that. And I've gotten better with it for sure. But I think just the competitive nature in like all of us that are over here in general, obviously you're here because you're competitive as shit, or else you wouldn't be living over here for 9 months. But it's like, you almost like, it's hard to see it the way that you do, even though it's definitely the healthier and best way to see it. But it's like you said, you went through it too. It's like you're so competitive that you want to get to that next league or something. But you're right. Like, just when you were saying that, I was thinking back to where I was my senior year of college, and like I wouldn't have been able to do half the things I'm doing on the court now. And that was just 3 years ago. So it's like, it's really good that you have that mindset. And I think that's really important for sure.
Yeah, I'm definitely not perfect about it either. And I definitely I forget for a long time about this whole reference thing, but it's just a part of, it's like one of those things that you just pick up along the way, and you just you tend to remind yourself a little bit more as the years go on. And yeah, but for sure, I struggle reminding myself about that too. When we lose a match and set, and I'm just like, what the hell is going on with this season? I totally forget about that 15-year-old kid Googling teams. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like with anything else, it takes practice. You practice getting back into that and reminding yourself and doing that until you're just able to pull yourself out of your funk. Yeah, I mean, I think that's really just in general fantastic advice about kind of take yourself back to how far you've come, and just I think it's just a really hard skill in today's society to just be so grateful for what you have and what you've already accomplished. I mean, like all the time people just want more and more and more, and it's never enough no matter what. Just just take a step back for a second. Just look at what you've built and what you do have and what you can be thankful for. It goes such a long way. And again, it's like way easier said than done, especially when you're going through the shit. But I think that's something that people need to get back to.
I think it's also important to note that it's, I think, a natural part of like the human experience to always want more. Like if we never wanted more, we would never survive, you know? So it's totally like, I think it's to find that acceptance and like, okay, I'm naturally designed to think this way, but I don't have to always want more and more and more. I can be grateful for this apartment with heat, for an apartment with Wi-Fi, because I've definitely been in an apartment before without heat and without Wi-Fi. So like, you know, just to be like grateful for the luxuries, if you will. And yeah, and just remember, you know, just where you were. It's like, but like you said, it's very difficult to be consistent about that and to do that all the time. But I think also accepting that it's natural to think that way, then it may be easier for you to kind of remember and say, okay, yeah, I should be grateful for this.
Don't beat yourself up. Don't be like, oh, I'm so selfish. I always want something each other. It's all about.
Yeah, don't do that.
About idiot, stupid.
Stupid.
But so leading off of that, where like you obviously took a path through France and now you're on a pretty major team. So why don't you let us know about, I guess, brief summary like that transition going from B League in France that, like you said, was super competitive and had guys from the Olympic level. And then now you have, based on hard work, obviously worked your way up into first division and all that, which is obviously a huge jump. And congrats to you on that, because France is a sick league with a lot of really good competitors.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's I was fortunate enough to talk with Taylor Averill and Dan McDonald last season, and they were able to be a little bit more like mentors to me, and because I was trying to figure out, you know, how do I get, you know, to the next level? What can I do to like see that sort of path? And they had a lot of good advice. But what Dan said to me kind of like, it kind of stood out a little bit. He said, sometimes you just got to be lucky. And I honestly think like I was extremely lucky after my second season in France. So just to recap my career in France, I signed with Plessis Robinson just after Finland. It's a small town just on the outskirts of Paris. So it was an amazing first year experience living, you know, a 20-minute metro ride to the center of Paris. And the league was really competitive. And I think I was also, you know, I got a little bit like it was a hard transition for sure. I float served that whole season. I'm normally a jump server, and I had a coach that, you know, he didn't like guys missing too many serves even while they're taking risks. So I had to totally change my style of play, totally like kind of find my balance in the team. And then, you know, it was my first time playing against so many international players and like at the national team level. And yeah, the league was really competitive, which was awesome. The league started to go down in competition a little bit as those teams, like I said, Caen and Narbonne went back up to Ligue A. Paris got relegated down. So my second season, I played another season with Plessis Robinson. I didn't get many offers to kind of move around, and I think I got the best contract with Plessis. I liked being close to Paris, so I said, okay, we'll come back for another season. At my first match of that season, my current agent was sitting in the stands watching the French 2024 team. That was like the youth national team for France, because they joined the League B that season. And I just, for some reason, decided, you know, like, I'm going to go upstairs to our VIP section early and just, you know, hang out with some supporters and volunteers. And this guy comes up to me. He says, "Hey, you jump really high." Of course, that's the first thing he says to me. But yeah, he introduced himself and he said, "Why don't we take lunch one time? I'm interested in possibly, you know, signing you as a player." And I had an agent at that time, but I wasn't exactly thrilled with like, you know, with what he was doing. And I felt after considering it more, that this would be a good move. So I started working with my new agent, and we ended up moving from Plessy to Cambrai, where I currently still am. And we played in the most interesting season I've ever played in. It was our COVID season where COVID literally stopped everything. And and we were in first place. So we had a very good season. I played with a very good setter, and we had a very well-rounded team. Guys played in Plus Liga before, and now they're playing in League B France. So it was kind of wild, like the level we had. And we finished the season in first place. Kind of a wild story. As like the French government said they were going to close all its borders the very next day. So while this was all happening, and our season stopped, and I got a phone call from my agent. He said, the president's going to announce this tonight. Like, you need to book your flight right now and get out of France. I said, okay. He said, oh, by the way, Cambrai wants to re-sign you for 2 more years. I said, all right, well, can we negotiate this a little bit? So it was like everything happening at once, you know? And so within 16 hours, I packed my entire apartment or whatever I had in my apartment. And we came to a deal, and I signed my contract in the car ride on our way to the airport for next season. So we got the promotion to go to League A, which was amazing. The last season was very special for us. Being our first season in League A, we made it to the semifinals of the playoffs. It was totally unreal. The experience was unreal. And this season we're back. This is my last season of the contract. I don't know what's going to happen next year. I'm leaving all options open. So, but I'm enjoying it. We have another very talented team, and some of the best guys too. A really good team. We're having a tough moment now, but yeah, it's the club has been a pleasurable experience so far. So an absolute grind climbing the ladder in France, and very fortunate to have a little bit of luck on my side to help me get on the right team at the right time.
I was going to say, that's got to be one of those reference points to look back on when you're the first in France and Paris, and then now you've made it all the way up to A1 league, and yeah, that's crazy, man.
Just based off COVID stopping the season. Honestly, that's the only reason. It was we didn't have to play playoffs. We didn't have to. It was absolutely the most wildest circumstances got me to League A. So, but yeah, so super. That's one of those things. Yeah, it's a good thing the club has had a really good management to get build a really good team, and we all came together and we just said, we're just going to show everyone we are capable of this, and we definitely proved our level last season, which was important. This season, I think, is the most important because we don't want to we want to show that it's not just a fluke. We want to show okay, we're here to stay in the league. We're not here to have our moment and then go back down. So
I was about to say, how's it? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Do your goal first. Sorry.
No, I was just saying. No, my goal was to help the club show that. That's all. Do my part.
Yeah. So how are you guys doing in the season, if you don't mind me asking, so far?
No, not at all. Well, we started pretty well. We were in 3rd place. Now we're in 9th. Now we had, I was mentioning to you before the podcast, we had an injury on one of our outsides. He's a key player. And then, so we were down to 2 outsides, and now our opposite, who was probably the 2nd best scorer in the league and 2nd best server in the league, the weirdest injury ever. His calf just stopped working one match, and I think he pulled something in his calf. I still don't even know the full story because he speaks only Russian and the doctors speak only French, so it's a little lost in translation there. But so he's been out. I think he won't be back until another week or 2. So we've been playing without an opposite for the past 3 or 4 matches now, and only 2 outsides. So it's been, we haven't had a great string of matches in the last few weeks. So we're now in 9th place, but I can't be nervous about it or stressed about it because But the type of players we have on the team, there's no reason to just be patient and confident. And yeah, so I mean, still, like when we show up to practice, it's like one of the best practices I've ever been a part of. That's consistent on a daily basis. And I'm playing with I think one of the best setters in the world right now. So it's hard to really complain about that and not to enjoy that while I'm here.
Yeah, I was gonna say too, like we said, it's a super long season. Like we're now what 4 weeks away from the halfway point. So it's like
Yeah,
ninth, as quick as you went from third to ninth, you can go back from ninth to third, you know.
Thanks for reminding me I still have another half of the season.
Yeah, I know.
No problem.
I know, right?
Brandon's in there with you, you know. Yeah, you guys
No,
enjoy
you're
over
right,
there.
though.
It's sick. I totally
Yeah.
miss living over there. That was
Living
way
the dream.
better. Yeah, I miss Romania so bad.
No, but you're definitely right. The season's so long, and like we still have to play French Cup, and yeah, and anything can happen in playoffs. We showed that last season, so you just got to make sure that you keep your head, you stay focused, and keep grinding, and you make the top 8. Anything can happen. It doesn't matter if you're the first seed or last seed. France, the level is so deep throughout the entire, like, I've never seen a league where 1 through 14 has any chance of winning on a day, which is unheard of. I think there's 6 or 7 teams that have built a team to win the championship this year. That's also unheard of. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Like pretty cool to be in a league like this where any team can win on any given day. So we just got to keep our confidence and stay patient, and everything will be all right.
I'm definitely jealous of that because that's not the case for almost any league. I think like even
Yeah.
Italy and stuff. Like it's usually like top 4 teams are kind of like the top 4. Then there's the middle of the pack, and then bottom 4 are like.
Yep.
So
No, that's 100%.
typically how it goes.
I remember in Finland, it was like there was 3 very good teams, and the rest drastically decreased in level, and we were one of the most drastically decreased in level teams at that point. And playing against a team like Horikani, I think Matt West played for them at one point. But like these were like Champions League teams, and Volleyball is another Champions League team. They just kick our ass, man. We're just like, we have no chance. But playing in a league like this, you can now show up to a match against, like, I think we played Chaumont. Chaumont was the runner-up in the league last year. We beat them 3-1 at home. It's like we have literally a third of their budget, I think, and we can still take 3 points away from them. So it's really cool to be competing in a league like this, and I hope like more leagues turn into this. I know Poland is starting. I mean, Poland's still pretty strong at the top, but they're starting to be a little bit more down the ladder. Italy's always going to have their top 4 teams, but it'd be cool to see more leagues in the world like France.
No, definitely. I was going to ask you, I'm sure you would like 100% agree that your game has just improved so much since college. What are some like the skill or technique things that have like really like helped you turn a corner that maybe you can think of?
Well, I know right away I had to learn like the mental skill, like not just like mental toughness, but like mindfully playing the game. Like I know like for example, I was never taught to like put the ball on the setter if you're putting a free ball over, or like put it short into position 2. Like I always just tried to like get the ball over aggressively. And when you become like a pro and you start playing in the pros, at least for me in my circumstances, this had to become automatic. Like there was no thinking. Like it was just an automatic thing. You get the setter to touch the ball first on a free ball, and then let them play a high ball. So like these little tactical things, like when the set's not there and you have to play off the block, like instead of trying to like bang away, like you tend to be just more like mindful when you play. So that definitely helped my level, especially with serving too. Read blocking has been like the biggest thing I've tried to work on, because it's not high ball offense like in college and really good middles. There was that Loyola team with Jeski where they ran the Bic so fast that you literally had to like just pick one. whether it's middle or pipe. But other than that, I remember guys just setting like slower offenses. I remember Harvard had a really fast offense, but again, this is like the college level, and you're comparing them to some of them are like, guys who play in the Olympics. Like I played against Matias Sanchez from Argentina, and him and Lozer have like the gnarliest connection I've kind of ever played against. And you're just trying to like figure out how to read these setters and stuff like that. And that's been the biggest skill I've been trying to improve on. And yeah, over years, the more you watch, the more you play, the more you kind of game plan against these setters, the better you get at it. And I think just consistently like showing up every day, being like having the intention to get better, and then playing with these high level teams, it just naturally gets you better at everything. And I think that's just the number one thing it takes, is like showing up and having that intention. So yeah, I don't know if I answered your question completely right. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Dude, give me the secret to volleyball, man. Oh, I'm gonna suck forever.
No, stupid.
One thing I did want to ask you about, I feel like probably, I don't know, maybe people know this, but when you did some stuff with Dustin Watton recently, within like the past month, where you wrote like 10 stages or 10 steps or something like that. I read a decent bit of it, and I thought that was super interesting and really well written. And I was like, damn, like this is sick. So why don't you touch on that for a little bit? That would be really nice to unpack. And for anybody listening, go to Dustin Watton's page and read what Mike watched, and you'll get the recap here in just a couple of seconds.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, so I guess I could say how it started. I did a podcast in France, and it was the guy wanted to talk to me about meditation, because I've been kind of pretty open about like my struggles overseas, and especially with my social anxiety. When I got to Finland, it just took off. And so I've been pretty open and honest about that. And because I know like other dudes probably go through the same thing or something maybe similar. So I just want to kind of just, as now becoming one of the older guys, like I just want to say like, hey, like it's okay. Here's some ways that you can use, here's some tactics you can use to kind of help that or get through that. So I've been pretty open about meditation, and in this podcast, I kind of talked pretty in depth about it. And one of my teammates, who's really into meditation as well, said, "Hey man, I love hearing you talk about that. You should like when's the next time you're going to talk about meditation?" I said, "I don't know." And he's like, "Why don't you do something with Dustin?" And I was like, "I don't really know Dustin like that, man. Like, I mean, I've met him a couple of times, but we're not like, we weren't really friends exactly." And he's like, "Oh, just see what he has to say. What can you say no?" It's like, "You're right." So I reached out to Dustin. Really cool guy, man, and really down to earth, of course.
That's awesome.
I just told him like, I want to just continue the conversation about mindfulness, meditation. What do you suggest I do? And I was, maybe we can work together, and I can help you, and maybe you can help me find some clarity on where I want to take this. And he's like, maybe you can write something. He's like, you can write an article for my blog or something. And so we just end up talking about it. He's like, why don't you write a letter to yourself? I was like, that sounds like a sick idea. Yeah. So I kind of wrote a letter to myself in the middle of my season in Finland. And I was kind of like, it turned out being like 10 things I would suggest to myself, like to kind of like do back then in order to like kind of make my career sort of advance and to help get myself to become more professional faster, I guess. So it was basically like 10 bits of advice I would have given my younger self in my first season overseas. And so, yeah. And I just started my own blog. Dustin gave me the sort of inspiration to write more and to keep kind of like giving this advice out there and share my own experience. Like I don't plan on just telling people like, oh, this is what I think you should do, because I'm not perfect at this stuff, but I've definitely had a lot of experiences over here, and I would just like to share them. So even in the worst case scenario, if someone's like, oh, I experienced that too, I don't feel so bad now, like then the job's completed, So so yeah, I'm trying to keep that going. And it's only been one article on my own. I got Dustin's article up there as well. So yeah, there's 10 pieces of advice. I think definitely one of them's meditation. And there's not many others I remember. I'd have to reread the article. It's been a while. I definitely know one
read it
is
as
like,
well. I need a refresher too, but I really liked it when it had come out, and I thought it was really well written and cool. So I think
thanks,
I'm
man.
check it out.
I do remember one other one, and it was a piece of advice I got from April. It was just like consistency. Like whatever you do, you have to like be consistent about it. And I even like made my own little schedule I have up on the wall to make sure that I'm consistent with all my like rehab, with all my weight trainings that I do on my own, and my recovery and everything. So yeah, definitely check it out. I'm not one to like sell myself or like to promote myself, but I definitely like if someone gave me this advice back then, I would totally take it. And these have been the 10 things that have helped me throughout the past 6 seasons. So yeah, check it out. Thanks for the kind words about my writing skills, guys.
Yeah, man, it was good. I was impressed. I was like, damn. We had Dustin on our show, like our second guest or something like that, and he was incredible. He was sweet to have on, and he's been a really like, I mean, you obviously reached out to him and know him a little bit, but as most people like for the most part no, but I feel like until like you actually talk to him, you realize it. Like he's just always trying to get a hand in to help, like not trying to get his hand in the pot, but like because we had him on, and then a month or two ago, and it had been 9 months since we had him on, he like messaged us. He was like, hey, what can I do to help you guys grow? What do you need from me? Like, how can I help 4 to 4 like find its window? And I was like, dude, this is incredible. I was like, everything. Like, what do you got? Like, lay it on us.
Yeah.
He gave us a bunch of advice, and like has been helping us out a lot too, which is great. So all praise to Dustin for sure. And yeah, no, don't be like feel shameful about plugging your own blog. Like that's kind of another thing we're here for, is we're all about promoting other people's stuff and trying to help people get their word out as best we can. So definitely give me the link to your blog and stuff. Anybody listening, you can look down in the description. It'll be linked down there, be linked in our bio, all that kind of stuff. So anything, yeah, but that's sweet. I'm actually excited because now that you're going to keep doing this, I'll keep reading it. Yeah,
the goal is to get it like bi-weekly. So there will be a new one this Monday, hopefully. It'll be a test to my consistency that I'm trying to teach and preach. But yeah, and I think you guys mentioned there's like a lot like you want to do. I think like on a previous podcast you guys mentioned that there's more to 4 to 4 that you want to make grow and evolve, and I kind of have the same vision for the blog. So I'm kind of excited. It's like my new little baby out here in France. I got like my 2 plants and I got this blog. So definitely gives me something to take care of and to do in the spare time. And like I said, if I can help any young like volleyball player like who's either going into college or going overseas in any sort of way, like that's all like I would ever want to do. Like that's all like what would make me feel good about this thing. So, and also like if anyone tends to run by this, my DMs are always open completely, so if anyone has any questions like about anything, experience, like totally feel free to reach out.
Love that.
Yeah. That's the most fun part about any of this, just like the smallest opportunity that someone would benefit any of this or feel better about what they're going through, just hearing someone else share the same struggles. That's that's the best thing ever.
Yeah.
It just feels good to not be alone. Like, oh man, like I remember like overseas at times, even though I talked to a dozen people about how hard it was, just feeling like a bitch sometimes. I'm like, what is going on? Like I usually can just handle this stuff. Like, why do I feel so miserable right now? Oh, that's normal. Okay, I'll get over this. Okay, all right, I can do this.
Yeah. No, totally. Like the amount of times I've said, why am I being such a bitch? It's like outrageous, So, but yeah, it's just like a big relief when you're not alone, when you're going through the whole situation with someone else and that you're not the odd one out in this tough situation. It's just been such a big relief. So that's all I could ever help to, or I could ever hope to do, is just help someone out in that situation too.
I'm sure you will, man. I'm sure that your first article already has.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
sure hope so.
It helped me a little bit.
Uh,
I'll be honest. I read through some of it. I'm only in my second year. Like some of that stuff, like genuinely, I'm serious, like helped me. Like it was, so there you go. There's one. You can check one off the
Hey,
tick
perfect
mark.
check.
Perfect, done. All right, job completed.
No, I'm glad, dude. Like, and that was kind of what made me really want to get this blog done, because the blog took longer than, like, building the website and everything took longer than I expected. But I I couldn't believe the amount of like feedback and support I was getting from that one article. Like, and people people I've never met before were like DMing me and saying like they really appreciated my honesty. They really appreciated, what I had to say. And I was like, wow, like, of course, like no worries, like this is like what it's for. So yeah, I'm super stoked about it. And I hope, as I keep throwing blogs up, more and more people can take some advice and feel more connected in this whole situation.
For sure, man. One last thing I want to touch on before we kind of sign off. I know we're getting close to that time. What about, so you're another VLA guy, which we had Blake on, who plays in the VLA. I played in the VLA this past year. I actually played against you in like our first match, I think, of the whole tournament.
That's right. That's right.
But just touch on, like, I'm sure you're going back to LVC and stuff, and we don't pick sides of the whole VLA NVA thing or nothing like that.
Yeah,
but just
no.
in general, give your experience of that VLA, because obviously we're all excited about the growth in it and everything like that.
Well, Callaway and I were NVA All-Stars, fun fact. So we have
All-Star team sent it down.
We have grassroots in the NVA.
Yeah.
But no, I've signed an LVC lifetime contract on a Domino's pizza box one night. So I will always play for my buddy Chris Hosley. He runs the team, and he's kind of the director of LVC. And I think I'll never play for another team other than his. So yeah, the VLA is exciting, man. It's a shame. Like, I know you guys talked recently how it's a shame that we have the two leagues, but we're out of control. We don't have the control of that. So
yeah.
I'm always going to stick with Chris and his decision. And of course, so you got a guy like Lloyd Ball, who's also trying to, if he feels he needs to do something like this, then okay, then I take his word for it too. But I want to see both succeed. If we can have two big leagues, why not? Like, you can say maybe it's counterproductive, but at the end of the day, if you're getting more exposure to young guys playing volleyball, saying, hey, you can play pro in the United States, why not? So I hope it all works out for the best. I think it will. But yeah, for now, I'll be affiliate. I won't be an NVA All-Star anymore. I will be representing the VLA and Team LVC. But yeah, I'm excited. I don't know how many events I'll be able to do this summer. I'm hoping to get 2 in. But it's very exciting to see what they're doing. They have a lot of great partnerships with, USA Volleyball and the JVA and AAU. So they're really trying to get in front of a lot of young crowds. And I remember we played at the AAU championships last year in Orlando, and I was sick. Like, we had, like, it was the end of like COVID, and we had like just lines of young players like being able to watch professional volleyball around center court. And like, that's what it's all about. Like, right now, yeah, we're trying to get like professional men's volleyball, but we're also trying to expose the sport to the youth and the young players there. So yeah, it's been, I don't know, I'm not on the board of directors or anything, and I haven't talked to Chris lately about it, but I know it seems like it's going in a good direction, but it's more of like a slowly but surely sort of deal. The biggest thing is trying to get like a good production and trying to get sponsors, like big sponsors. So but yeah, no, it's good. I mean, already in 2 years, we now have like regional cups, which is cool. Like, I couldn't imagine that.
Progress, right?
Yeah, I mean, we got more and more teams joining the league. I know, like, SportCon out in San Francisco, another Chicago team, Swede, Boston Bounce. Like, the league's growing. Is Pride now tier 1 or?
No, we're still tier 2. But
Okay.
like, I mean, we're full, like, I mean, obviously I'm in our group chat, so I see everything that comes across. And Terrence Crossan, who's like running it and owns and like started the whole thing, is like, he's sick, dude. He's very committed. He has his own PT program that does a lot of the sponsoring. Like I think he's already got us like in literally this past week, like 4 more team sponsors and shit like that. So he's like pot committed. He's like, dude, I want us to I want us to move up to tier 1. I want us to win like cups. I want us to win this. He's like, I want them to know that we're like legit and not just like they're fucking around. So no, yeah, they're still tier 2, but like any tournament, anything you can get us into, we're doing. That's for sure. And yeah, so I'm pumped. I think Pride's sick. I really like Terrence and what they got going and some of the guys that we have in the gym. It's just obviously tough, with people going overseas and things like that and all that. Yeah. But I mean, we still have a solid base that's still back at home in New York and spread out throughout the country. So I think that we'll definitely be able to like make some noise in the coming years of VLA for sure.
No, I would agree. But I mean, I remember playing against you guys in the cup, and I was like, right off the bat, all right, this team's like, I think you guys won the first set against us. I was like, okay, that's okay. We gotta figure this out because we're about to lose to this team I've never, played against before.
Literally their first ever match in the VLA.
We dropped the first set. Like, all right. So yeah, no, I have no doubt you guys will compete, and I think the level, more like last summer was difficult because of COVID was still iffy and a lot of restrictions were still going on, and I think now hopefully next summer is going to be more a better opportunity for guys who are at a high level to come play and to be able to experience any sort of like professional volleyball in the United States. And I have no worries about the league. I think the product sells ourselves. Like if we put Nick Sturzen and Cody Kessel on a team, who's not going to watch that, honestly? So
yeah.
If we can get those two back on the court again, shout out Cody and Nick. Come play VLA one more time, please. Like.
I was going to say, like whenever I was out there for the cup, I had literally just gotten back from Denmark. I think it was my second week back. And I was just really excited, one, to obviously see people and players from the US, but also like to be able to relax. Kind of like how you said, when you're over here, there's all this stress to like be a point scorer and do all this. I was like, dude, I'm excited to just relax with like some cool players and chill and like play it a little more relaxed. And then we get out there and we're playing you guys. And like, there's you on the team. You guys have a couple other good players. And we were like, we came out like super confident and like having fun, but then I was like, oh, shit, like, dude, like obviously there's players on the court, like we need to get our shit together. We end up losing. And then like I remember we went to like breakfast and we came back and I just like panned around the gym. I was like, Germany, Czech, France, Poland. I was like, oh, holy shit. I was like, this whole gym is like high level overseas players. Like this is legit like pro ball. It's like, holy fuck, man. It's like, it's pretty gnarly, just the competition that they're able to get just in the second year and the connection that people can get. It's very wild.
The potential for that league is enormous. We don't even practice. Like we don't have any sort of game plans. So, we just get a bunch of ballers, put them on a team, and we compete, and we're just competitive. And that alone is like really good level. So there's just so much room and potential, but I do love it right now. As you said, like, I love there not being stats, not being like, I just love finally you can just go out and play. And like, that's like, that's the pleasure of the game. Like just playing, not worrying about this stupid bullshit, like around the pro scene and stuff like that. Just being with your boys, playing, competing, and going out for beers after. Like,
definitely. Yeah, man, we had some. Oh man, well, Hawaii was coming off a national championship, and we had 2 guys from Hawaii on our team, and I'll just say they were very excited to celebrate the national championship. So
I can imagine, but that's volleyball though. Just like we're here to compete, but let's not forget, like, we're with good friends, we're with good company and let's enjoy the competition, you know.
Yeah. No, that's
maybe they were enjoying it a little too much, but
I mean,
no, not enough. You
No.
can't enjoy it too much after a national championship. Come on.
Yeah, at that point, like, you really don't care how you do with the VLA coming off a national championship.
I wouldn't care at all.
Me neither. And they're
entering. I'm here to party.
Yeah. We're still celebrating. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go play die or something.
Oh, God. Quite literally.
Quite literally.
Nail on the head, let me tell you.
But that's like the good stuff though. Like, and it's really fun to like, especially that sort of event like the VLA Cup where you get to see all these guys. Like, it's almost like nationals used to be, you know, but a higher level. So yeah, I hope the VLA continues to evolve like that. It can only be more fun for us and more opportunities for people.
Absolutely, man. Well, it's been a blast having you on, dude. Thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Man, it's been an absolute pleasure. I had such a fun time. Really nice to get a nice break from, you know, the whole pro grind and be able to just, you know, shoot the shit, talk volleyball. So really appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, man. Thanks again. We really appreciate it. Check down below right now. You can go and check out the link to his blog, and you can also see some of his stuff with his team in France. And thanks for listening.